A few episodes ago, I was checking out the engine, working on Bruno, trying to get him to run a little bit better. We established that actually the engine was running really, really rich. The plugs were covered in fuel and it was hunting, it wouldn't idle properly. I had all sorts of adjustments that I needed to make. There was a ton of vacuum leaks. It needed resetting essentially. I fixed all the vacuum leaks. I reset the mass airflow sensor on there as well, and to try and work out if I could get it to run a bit more lean. And by doing so, I have got rid of the hunting. It does start a lot better and it does run a lot better. However, it is a bit underpowered. And the only real way now of me being able to tell whether it's running too rich still or too lean, which I suspect it might be running a bit lean, is to use a gas analyzer, exhaust analyzer. Now they are really expensive, like the ones you see in garages. However, this Gunson one is like 100 quid, 120 quid or something along those lines. I'll put it up on the screen now. And it's kind of the bottom of the range with regards to exhaust analyzers. I don't think it would last a particularly long time, but I can't really say that until I've used it. We'll give it a fair crack at the whip though. I'm going to unbox it in a moment. I've not even looked at it yet. Work out what I need to do with it, get it onto Bruno, get that engine running and see what kind of results I get from it. Wish me luck. Right, so what do we get in this box? So this is a Gunson Gastester Digital. This is the V2, I believe. So the part number on this is G4125. There is an analog version I've noticed that actually has an analog gauge on it, and it seems to be an older one. There's a few for sale on eBay. I don't know whether they're any better, but they are just as expensive second-hand as these are brand new, so I'm not quite sure why they seem to hold their value quite so much. But either way, in here, what have we got? So we've got a set of instructions, which I will use. We have various hoses. I think these are the ones that actually go into the exhaust. Yep, so they're the springs that would push through and hold it into the exhaust. And the hoses of different lengths. And then we've got the actual analyzer itself. Now I did see on a couple of other reviews that this plastic thing on here that I'm going to show you here was already broken. But actually on mine, it seems to have survived, which is wonderful. So I'm just going to remove this cardboard piece here. Okay, so this is it. It's a very simple bit of kit, there's not a lot to it. There are just two power leads, and they just, it's literally a positive and a negative. These go to your battery, or to a battery, so I've got a power supply that I'll use for that. And then on the back here, you've got this. This is where all the way to the plumbing goes. So that's what some of these hoses are for. So this one, this long one I know goes to this big hose, and I think the short one goes to one of these lot to basically rig it all out. Anyways, let's have a quick look about setting it up, because it looks quite straightforward. So look, from vehicle exhaust goes to the middle one of these, like that. And then we have the one from the top goes to the collector box. So it's the top, that goes round to here, like that. And this little short one is a water drain pipe. So that just sits there like that. That is it. So it's not the most complicated thing to set up. There is a few kinks in these, but I don't think it's going to really make too much of a difference. This gets shoved in the exhaust, and then we turn it on. There is a bit of calibration to do. And we're going to have a quick look as to exactly how that works. So bear with me while I read this, and then I'll explain what we need to do. Right, this all seems pretty self-explanatory. So this box, basically, you don't do anything with it for the time being. You literally just leave it as it is. This piece of foam comes off, and there's a dial on here for adjustment. So what we're aiming to do is get this to 2%, kind of as the ambient CO kind of percentage that is detecting. So with the car off, you need to basically plug this into your power source and then leave it for a minimum of 8 minutes. So I'm assuming red is positive and then black is negative. Okay, it's on. And now I'm going to wait 8 minutes. Okay, I've waited 10 minutes actually, I've given it 10 minutes. And this went all the way down to 0.1%. So basically what we did, just turn that very, very gently until it basically goes up and down to the point where it says 1.8, wind it up oops, until it says 2. 1.9, 2. Once I've adjusted it to 2, you're supposed to leave it for a couple of minutes, which I'll do. And then once that's ready, you then pop this into your exhaust and you start the car up. You need to go in there at least 8 inches, which is fine. So basically, as long as the whole aluminium thing is in there, we're all good. So the acceptable range on a 1982 E23, which is what I've got here, 735, is between between 1 and 1.5% CO. But there is an allowance there of 0.5 to 2 for an acceptable range. So let's just wind that back up again. So we're going to just see what that comes back at, and then we're going to adjust accordingly. Let's start the engine. You need to leave this running for 3 minutes. So I'm going to start stopwatch now. I mean, you literally couldn't make it up. So I needed to get this between 1 and 1.5, and it's been fluctuating between 1.2 and 1.3. So as a first attempt of getting it sort of dialed in at the airflow meter, not the mass airflow sensor I said earlier on, the airflow meter, I mean, I got it bang on. I'm pretty pleased with that. You need to bring this out now and leave it on for another 10 minutes. And basically what that does, it lets fresh air go through the system and cleans the sensor off with this still on. So I'll leave this going for another 10 minutes, but basically it's done its job. It's told me that we've got the car dialed right in. So with the new plugs on there, I could probably do with a new coil and check a few other bits and pieces, maybe some new HT leads. But otherwise, yeah, pretty pleased with that. Well, that was easier than expected. I'm pretty impressed with that. I mean, it's done its job. I wasn't expecting it to go quite like that. I was expecting to have to take the airflow meter out, tune it, adjust it, and test it. But as it happens, we just happen to have that adjustment just about right. But this worked exactly as it was supposed to. So I'm really pleased with that. I mean, you can't really go wrong. It's the easiest of things to use. So I'm quite pleased with that. Is it worth the money? Yeah, I think it is. Because ultimately, it's really hard on an old car like this to actually tell whether it is running lean or not, really, other than by inspecting the plugs, general running condition of the engine, or taking it to a garage to get them to do it. So yeah, well worth the money. Would I recommend it? Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. So, pleased with that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Only a quick video. Thought it might be of use. And yeah, I'll see you again soon.